over time, competition, when Warri is producing, Port Harcourt is producing, hopefully, Kaduna begins to, burn, and Dangote, is also producing. There's no way that we're not going to see, a progressive decrease in price of petrol to make it easier for people to actually buy fuel and power their, machines, whether it's cars or other forms of machine. But I think that, we need to all just take a perspective and understand that these benefits we speak about are beginning to, come down, in the, way it matters.
Mr. Moka, if you can hear me,
if you can hear me, Mr.
See, that's what they usually tell people, okay? They will tell people that there are poor people all over the world. There are poor people in America. There are poor people in the UK. There's no country without poor people. So there's nothing special in Nigerians being poor. Okay? If anybody comes out to talk about poverty, as if to say poverty is new to Nigeria, nobody says there are no poor people. And that is why you have a subsidy in working countries in order to take care of their own poor people. But poverty that is caused by government policies cannot become relatable to what poverty is in America or what poverty is in the UK. In Nigeria, before these criminals told you then that you deserved better, they told us then that between 50 and 54 million Nigerians were living in poverty. This was 9 or 10 years ago. Then the APC, Egbekegbe, came in. And in 8 years, they added more than 30 million Nigerians into the basket of poverty. And by the time Bokwari was done, there were already nearly 100 million Nigerians living in multi-dimensional poverty. Do you understand what it means? What is called multi-dimensional poverty? There are some of you who think that if you are unable to feed yourself is the only poverty. No. The poverty you have in Nigeria is multi-dimensional. You have the poverty of electricity, where you don't have power. You have the poverty of healthcare, where you have no access to any reasonable healthcare. Millions of the population have no access to that. They can't even afford it. All right? You have poverty of water, ordinary water, which is no longer ordinary, is a luxury in more than 70% of Nigerian of Nigeria, the entire space of Nigeria. More than 70% of Nigeria have no access to clean, drinkable water. All right, that's poverty. When your children can't have access to quality education, that is poverty. All right. And now you have the poverty of insecurity as well, which is so spreading enough that people can't even grow their own food. So what did APC change between 2015 and 2025? They worsen it. That's what they have done. That is the record. Nigeria became more indebted. The currency became devalued, pushed more and more people into multi-dimensional poverty. That is the achievement of APC. So them telling you that there are poor people all over the world, there are this or that, the rest of the world will tell you how many people they have lifted out of poverty. They can tell you. It's not how many people they have added to poverty. In Nigeria, APC, businesses are being killed, destroyed. The criminal looters are taking what belongs to a lot of you. Your common patrimony has been looted by these rogues without any consequences. This is the legacy of APC. It is. But they can easily tell you that there are poor people in America. There are poor people all over the world. They can touch, but they won't tell you that the political class in these countries, they are not living in luxury. Your criminal politicians are living in luxury, buying themselves latest cars, aircrafts, renovating their houses with tens of billions of naira every year. That is not how the rest of the world works. Eh? How have you heard that the American president has been buying himself new cars? Or American Congress or American Senate are buying themselves latest cars every year. Have you heard anything like that? So how could the supposed poverty capital of the world begin to tell you that poverty is normal? And the record shows that they have dipped more of you in that poverty. But they want you to believe that there are poor people, there are homeless people abroad, there are homeless people in America, there are this or that. And then that justifies the people who have been chased away from their homes by the terrorists, sent to the IDP camps, internally displaced persons camps in Nigeria. They are telling you there are homeless people in America. Like, what the heck, man? Okay, in that same America, there is a 24 hours electricity. How about that? In that America, there are functional healthcare system. How about that in Nigeria? Why can't they have you compare that too? I mean, if America have homeless people, poor people, Nigeria have poor people. America also have 24 hours electricity. Why can't Nigeria have 24 hours electricity generated by these criminals? If America have poor people, like they are saying, right? How come the same America also have a healthcare system that works for everyone? How about yourself having access to the same? How about education? How about security? So they don't want you to compare all of that. They just want you to remember that there are poor people all over the world. They don't want anybody. Anyone who comes on the TV to talk about that is considered, a negative person. That's what this mofo said. He said that Peter Obi is not acting like an elder statesman, okay, and he has crossed the lines many times. This one, I consider it a threat. Or what do you think?
No. He is the one that's throwing that. Mr. Obi is shooting from the hip. He's not looking. He's not taking an aim. He just, shoots widely like, what we used to see in movies back in the day, in the Wild Wild West. He is not being rational. He's absolutely irrational in his thinking and in his public commentary for a man who was governor for 8 years, who left nothing to remember in Anambra State by way of a legacy or transformation. But all of a sudden, he served as governor 8 years. He didn't have the wisdom or the smarts to change Anambra State, to make Anambra the beacon, that example of, governance in the country. But then, he runs for president, in 2023. And then now, he didn't win. He's sulking. Rather than actually get a perspective and, figure out what he did to lose so he can do better in the future. He would think that he can bring down the government by simply, being maliciously deceptive. That is wrong. I'm not somebody to, to go on that offensive in that manner. But Mr. Obi has crossed the line so many times. And I think that at this point, he has coming to him whatever he gets, he needs to manage it.
So he practically just said that within their circle, right, they believe that Peter Obi has crossed the line many times. That is for daring to criticize them. All right? And yeah, it is, they are politicians, so he has the chance of attacking Peter Obi's supposed personality. But most of those who have been doing that, genuinely, they have been doing that, maliciously, out of lies. What did he do in Anambra? How come he did not change Anambra? How come he did this, didn't do that and all that? So that that can make it look more ordinary, okay? But one thing there is that out of the rest of them, right? It's like when you say out of all stones and you find a gem in between. And the thing they hated about the guy is simply because he is not a thief like them. So they can use all kind of brushes to try to want to paint him and possibly make it truth when it is not. But my own job, my own point here is not actually to possibly defend him anyway. So he's got his own friends out there who are reeling out the facts from fiction. So if you speak out against Tifnumbu and their gang, it is considered as a treason. Okay? And the offense that I believe the likes of Peter Obi have is thinking he can remedy this contraption, flying this flag of I am I'm somebody who loves probity, and I am someone who believes that one single person who can lead the people in the right direction can change the course of the destiny of a doomed country. That is one error or one mistake I think he is making. But yeah, to the APC, I don't know how long it's going to take them. I really do wish that they can act on some things that they are talking or discussing in private of Peter Obi. The guy was a governor of a state that was under the siege of a criminal political class, where a state governor was kidnapped and was forced to issue his own resignation. That was how notorious Anambra was. Anambra was like Abia, where the resources of the state is meant to be for the political class, for their own sharing. All right? He's a guy that got impeached simply because he won't sign on or sign off on the supposed budget of renovating government house. And he won't also sign on the inflated budget of renovating their status of assembly, paying some certain people. He won't sign off on them. He got impeached twice by the political class. And eventually, he got the rest of them retired, that they became almost nothing in the politics of Anambra State. He is considered, by all standard, by all record, when he was their governor, as the one with a verifiable Millennium Development goals of that era. You remember all those goals? Get children back to school, make the school quality, make the education quality education, infrastructural development, including the rural roads and all that, under him. And when he left, it was a guy who left over $150 million cash and over 75 billion naira cash. And it was also a guy that never held a single contractor for his time as their governor in Anambra State. And he came out and he said, listen, it is rare that to say somebody was governor and he didn't steal money. How is that possible? Then he came out and he said, if you have any evidence of him, right, personally enriching himself or any member of his family when he was in charge of Anambra State, that bring it out, and he would stop talking about, the wrath of others. But nobody has been able to bring anything out. And I keep reminding you of that. That is something that is a bold move. During your charade election last year, was it? Yeah, 2 years ago. Your charade election, he repeatedly asked you that if you have any evidence, either even, forget about even money now, like reallocating government properties to yourself, which is what majority of them, that's what they do, right? Lands, they grab lands from people, reallocate them to themselves as part of their, perk of office. He said, if you find any in my name or any of my family name, take it. This is some level of bragging that makes Nigerians, they will make some Nigerians hate you. Are you saying you are special? Are you saying you are this, right? So majority of his distractors are mostly saying, for Peter Obi, most of his distractors are like, it must be something. There must be something somewhere. I don't believe that he didn't steal any money. Now, he is hated for saying he didn't steal, and there is no evidence of him actually stealing anything. His own successor, Obiano, is currently standing corruption charges trial with the EFCC as we speak. The guy that succeeded Obi, what did he do? And you won't even believe that this Obi they are talking about has left the same government. He has left the government for more than 11 years or so now. Yeah. Another person has been in charge of that state for 2 terms, Obiano. The same guy who made all this money when he was leaving, he left the government that the same Peter Obi left without owing anybody, no debt, no nothing in the history of Anambra, right? Taking his own education, the education system in Anambra State from far back of 33 to number one in that country. So the APC, Egbekegbe, are pretty much like rattled every time he speaks, that you'll be wondering what really triggers them this much. Is it the fact that he could brag about not being corrupt? Something they feel like, does that make you special to us? He was attacked, he was abused for keeping or saving money. They said, what's the essence of saving money? Yeah? When you are supposed to use the money to, So that's a threat that I feel like I want them to, I don't want him to stop talking. I want them to kind of get more triggered and do something nasty. So maybe this whole thing can be quickened up, like happen so fast. Here is part of what Obi, I believe, said that got Moka to say Peter Obi has crossed the line. That's not the first time he's saying that. He said it a few times, and he said this time around, Peter Obi should expect he should expect what is coming his way. This one.
I want to ask you some questions, yes, in some of the news. President Tinubu looks optimistic about the economic reforms that he's embarking on this year. And one of the major things he said is that he will reduce inflation from 34.6% to 5% to 15%. And he's also saying that he understands that there are rising food prices and there's a problem with the issue of food in the country. What can you say about that? Because he has also said that the economy under him has gained foreign trade surpluses under him, and that the price of petrol is beginning to go down after the regulation. Those are the successes recorded according to him last year. So, but going into 2025 is so optimistic. Do you share his optimism that we can reduce the inflation rate to 15%? And how do you think we can tackle the issues of hunger and food security?
Well, it's not this is not the first time he's coming out with such optimism. The reality of it is that while we do not expect 100% result, we want to see 100% effort. Is it something you can say, for example, we're reducing cost of governance? People need to see it. People need to feel it. I'll wait and see how inflation will come down from 34 to 15%. Because the main driver of inflation, as you know, is food. On the sea rice, coming down from 100 to about 50. Beans, all coming down below the minimum wage. Then we can begin to say yes. So it is not something you say. It is what you do and what people feel. Governance is about the feeling of the people, not you.
The first question is on this national trip. Knowing what the presidency stands for Nigeria, don't you think Nigerians will be further inconvenienced by the president traveling to states where the road will be locked for hours even before the president comes, and still remain locked hours after he was left a particular situation? And considering the amount of resources they will still expend on source visits either by air or by road, how do you see an alternative to mitigate the suffering of Nigerians by those blockage and the money that's going to be spent? That's the first aspect.
I'm sure that what is going to be spent will be far less than what he spends to go overseas. It will be far less. And I can assure you that visiting the entire Nigeria will not cost up to a third of what he has spent in these 30 trips, just visiting Nigeria. And it is critical that he goes to, as for blocking the road and everything, I would rather he blocks everywhere in my state and stay there for 2 days, because he will feel what we are feeling. So it's better he goes to Benue, Go to Zamfara and block it. But it's there, so you can feel what the average person in Zamfara is feeling. It's as the president of a country, you must visit the place.
The second aspect is 2027. His Excellency Koolu, Kwapaso, and all of them on this major issue. Can you just tell me?
For me, what is important now is about Nigeria today. We are so occupied about election, just like we're so occupied about power capture, that we refuse to deal with our issue. We have people who are dying because of bags of rice, half bag of beans. People are dying. We've just lost several people. I was in IDP camp yesterday. I was in hospital yesterday, where we don't have basic things. I'm talking about 2027. That's not what I'm preoccupied with. I'm not preoccupied by what I said, the urgency of today. Let people put food on their table. Let there be medical care in our primary health care.
Okay, lastly, what is His Excellency barely 1 year after the 2023 elections? The third force is dismantled, and there is no effective governance without opposition, a strong opposition in the country. And with the way things are going, do you think Nigeria is having a headwind? And how do you think any person from the opposition, even where you have the brain, the intellectual, the ability, even in your...
For him, it's not really about next election, even though I don't believe him. Okay? So to him, it's more about, okay, fine, the election is over, okay? Somebody's in charge. And you need a viable opposition. The job of the opposition is to put the incumbents, to put the incumbents on their toes, so that they can always have to do what they promised they would do, even though if nobody really promised you anything, okay? But in Nigeria, that is not how they run opposition government in Nigeria, opposition, okay? In Nigeria, it is about chop by chop kind of a thing. So to them, once election is over, everybody becomes a contractor. Everybody finds their ways into the hearts of those in charge, and they begin to sort of share the spoil of government together. They begin to kind of like find their space. Some would even like decamp to the ruling party. So there's no real opposition per se, right? So if they now find somebody like Obi who wants you to believe that there should be opposition, there should be an opposition that should be asking all these critical questions, okay? Criticizing the actions and inactions of those in charge. That is what is meant to be, or to have a democracy. But in Nigeria, no, it's mostly, yeah, during the elections, you can hear them say all horrible things about themselves. But immediately after that, everybody will just line up to take their own share from the spoil of war. And those of you who won't, probably have to go and find something else to do. So that is why Obi is trying to be that opposition. Unfortunately, it is not going to work. You know, you don't do individual opposition in a rigged system like that of Nigeria. It is a rigged system. So it's either you are so deluded, or you are living in your own, echo chamber. That's what I see about Obi. They are talking about opposition coming together, but the people that are supposed to champion that are, one, the political party who controls some states that are not APC, Egbekegbe. They are supposed to be loyal to their party. For example, PDP. Your PDP governors are not loyal to PDP. PDP is just You know, it's like a political party in name. Those in charge of the PDP themselves are most like 60 to 70% of them. They are in the ass of Tifnumbu. So how do you build a coalition? Labour Party is already scattered. Yeah, you have the Apampas, Lami Diot Apampas, Arabambi Diot. What's that other one's name? The one that is now your chairman. You know, it is all kind of like compromised. So what opposition is Peter Obi building? Is it the opposition is going to build with a faction of PDP, a faction of SDP, and maybe a faction of Labour? I don't understand. So that's why I said it's more or less like a delusion. He's a lone ranger, in my own opinion.